Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm finally going to get out my January wrap up. I have been on vacation the last week, so I am a little bit late. I'm recording this as of February 7th, so forgive me for that. But yeah, overall, January I think was my best month full stop on BookTube. I couldn't be happier, one, with the reading I've done, and two, the videos I've put out. And three, the reception those videos have gotten. So super pleased with January. So in this video, I'm obviously going to go through that. So just starting off, obviously, with the books I've read, I managed to read 13 books this month, which was really good for me. I think a lot of it had to do with, if you've been paying attention to the last few videos I've posted, you'll know I went on a huge reading slump essentially from like April to about to January of this year, really the end of December. So yeah, with that, all that time off reading, I was very much ready to get back into it. I just pretty much read in my free time. And that's about all I did, which I'm totally okay with. So yeah, I managed to read 13 books. Obviously, if you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know I definitely read a few Malazan books, not just Book of the Fallen this month, but one of the other heavy features here is going to be the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, of course. So I'll go over which of those entries I've read. And so on my channel, if you've been subscribed for a long time, you'll notice that I originally was doing reviews for each entry in the Dresden Files. I've kind of gotten away from that. I'm really enjoying the series, especially now that I've kind of crested that corner. I've read changes at this point, and that's really the major turning point everyone says to look forward to. It's the 12th book, if you're not aware. And I'm finally there. I finally reached that point this month and continue to read onwards. But yeah, I stopped doing videos for each review. They were getting repetitive for each entry. I think Dresden Files, it's not necessarily a repetitive series, but there's not always a huge amount of depth to each entry that warrants, I found anyways. You obviously can disagree with me, but I found that there were a lot of books didn't really warrant a whole video on their own, especially in that, like, I think the last Dresden Files review I did was Blood Rights, which was number 6, and I think from about 6 to 10 especially, which is when I stopped putting out their own standalone reviews, I don't think that they really warrant their own video. I could make the argument, you could make the argument, and you could definitely make videos, I think, on really 10 and onward so far, because the series really amps up as far as, the events, the general plot, and the direction the series is heading, rather than, there's a lot more overlay between books, whereas before they almost felt a little bit more standalone. Like, you didn't necessarily, if you read like the 5th Dresden book, I don't think someone who hasn't read 1 through 4 would be absolutely lost. Whereas now, you really do need to be obviously caught up to fully appreciate and understand what's going on. So I think what I'll do is I'm almost caught up to where Jim Butcher is. The most recent book, that's number 17, which is Battlegrounds, I think. So I think once I read Battlegrounds, I'll make a video of kind of like my thoughts so far. Obviously, he hasn't finished the series itself, but I think that'll be good, rather than just put out kind of redundant content for the reviews. And let me know if you'd even be, 1, if you're a Dresden fan, 2, where you're at in the series yourself, and then 3, if you'd like to see maybe like in addition to my series review, maybe I'll do a tier list ranking, where I think each goes as far as my preference is concerned. But the tier list would be a little challenging because, like I said, some of those books get they're not necessarily redundant, but they do blend together. It's really easy to mix up exactly what events were in each Dresden Files book, at least for me. So yeah, that was good. Like I said, I've read a lot of Malazan, and I've put out a lot of Malazan content, which I'm super, super pleased with. I obviously started the month off releasing my Knight of Knives review. Looking back on it, I just did a strictly non-spoiler, and I think I may revisit Knight of Knives to do a full in-depth spoiler review. I don't think I gave Knight of Knives the attention and the attention it deserved. And I do like, especially with Malazan, I like to dig a little deeper. And I don't think I did that with my Knight of Knives review, but I'm sure I'll revisit it, soon. I'll probably do another video going a lot more in depth on it, because I don't want to neglect the novels of Malazan by Esselmont at all. And yeah, I just wasn't super happy with that. It's fine for a non-spoiler review, but like I said, I just like to go a little bit more in depth on Malazan. But the Malazan content was great. My favorite video I put out this month was actually the God Is Not Willing in-depth review. That really, I wasn't sure how I was going to tackle the Book of the Fallen reread. And I think once I had finished recording and editing the God Is Not Willing review, I was super happy with how that went. So that, if you've noticed, that's a similar approach I've taken with the reread videos. That format, like I said, I'm super proud of the God Is Not Willing video I put out, which does cover my non-spoiler thoughts, and then the big chunk of it at, I think it's like the 8 or 9 minute mark, is my in-depth spoiler thoughts and spoiler review. I'm super happy with that video. It is 45 minutes, and the majority of that is spoiler, but I would highly recommend checking that out, especially if you've read The God Is Not Willing already. So that was my favorite video of the month. And then another huge milestone I hit this month was obviously starting off my Malazan reread, which has been going absolutely amazing so far. Those videos have been so well received. They're blowing all my expectations out of the water. At the time of recording this, I can't believe it, but I'm at 98 views on the first video in that series. Right now, I've only got part 1 and 2. But yeah, this isn't a February TBR February video. But definitely, if you like those videos, I'm hoping to get about hopefully 3 more, which I think would bring me to the end of Gardens of the Moon. 3 more reread videos out this month. I'm trying to do one video a month, or not one video a month, but one Malazan Book of the Fallen reread videos a week. So like one part of the book I'm on a week. I think that's a good pace. I was on vacation this last week, which is why this video's coming out a little bit later, not right at the beginning of the month or the end of January, because we just went to an Airbnb with my wife's family, and there wasn't much time to read. Obviously, when you're with family, don't really want to be in a corner just reading the whole time. So I hope to resume those reread videos here shortly and get one out to you in the next 7 days or so. Would be a pretty realistic timeline. So yeah, those videos have been going amazing. So thank you all for that, and expect more to come. As far as just getting back to the actual books I read, it was a total, obviously I mentioned 13 books, 5,013 pages. So it was a really strong reading month for me, as I mentioned. And yeah, I got 10 videos out in total. So also really strong booktube month for me. And I'm super happy with how the channel's coming along. Obviously Malazan content is great and it's my passion. So I'll continue to make Malazan content, obviously. And I think part of the reason why those Malazan videos do so well is because I'm so passionate and I enjoy talking about the series so much. So, as I've mentioned before, I will still continue. Obviously, I read more than Malazan, so I'll continue to put out other non-Malazan related content, even if it does a little better. I do like, part of me likes, I'm like a completionist. I like collecting things. So when I finish a book, I do like to have that almost like digital library of cataloging my thoughts in a review. So expect those book reviews obviously to continue to be a staple, even if they don't do super well. I put out my review for Artificial Condition, which was the second entry in the Murderbot trilogy, which I've got right here. If you haven't read Murderbot, I would. I'm only 2 books in, but they're short and they're delightful reads. But obviously, book reviews, if they're not Malazan, tend not to do so well, especially if it's not the first entry in a series. But that's no biggie for me. Like I said, I like just having the catalog of my thoughts. So if I don't read the next entry in Murderbot for like a year, I can always revisit my own video, which I like to do before I start reading and pick that back up. So yeah, super great month for me. Getting actually into what books I read, which is probably why you're all here. But if you've been paying attention to my videos, you know I tend to ramble, especially when I'm talking about Malazan. And hey, going off on a Dresden Files ramble, I'm totally okay with that too, so I hope you are. But yeah, 13 books. I started off the month with, I actually did the chunk of this reading at the end of December, but I did end up finishing it on January 1st, so it gets rolled into this month. That was Brandon Sanderson's Cytonic, which is the 3rd entry in that the Skyward series. They're super fun, sci-fi reads, young adult, nothing incredibly deep or dense, but a good read. Not necessarily my favorite read of the month by any means, but yeah, a good read. Then I read White Knight, and like I mentioned earlier, I did some major progress on Dresden Files this month. So White Knight, which is number 9 in the Dresden Files. Next up was Knight of Knives. Obviously, that's Esselmont's first book in the novel, in his novels of the Malazan Empire. I was happy with that. I know I already touched on that, the review video. I also think because I hadn't read any Malazan content for like 8 or 9 months, I think I leaned more. It was easier for me I think I was overly positive. And that wasn't necessarily intentional. I just think I was so excited to be back in the Malazan world, and I was far enough removed from Erikson's writing that it was more like a nostalgia trip for me, even though I hadn't read it. And I think that came across in my review. So yeah, if you think I came off overly positive, I think you're right. I still genuinely enjoyed the book. I just think it was harder for me to see the flaws because I was blinded. I had my Malazan blinders on. But after reading some of Erikson's content and revisiting Book of the Fallen, I do think I don't know if I made it clear enough in the Knight of Knives review that the Book of the Fallen is truly a tier above what Knight of Knives was. But for what it is, Knight of Knives was a good book, if that makes sense. So yeah, Knight of Knives was the 3rd book I read. Then we have more Dresden, shocker. Small Favor, which is number 10. Then my favorite book of the month was Stephen Erikson's The God Is Not Willing. If you're not familiar with that, which you probably are, because I have a lot of Malazan readers, so you guys are in tune to anything and all things Malazan, but The God Is Not Willing is Erikson's first entry in his Witness trilogy, which takes place about 10 years after the events in Book of the Fallen. This was my favorite book of the month, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know. I've got a 45-minute video, so I'll link that above if you want my full thoughts. But it was my favorite book for a reason. I just absolutely love Erikson's writing. His weaving in of themes and philosophy, I find fascinating and intriguing. And I can't talk enough about it, which is why I generally reference it in almost every video I put out. So If you're done with Book of the Fallen and you have not, for some reason, read The God Is Not Willing, go out and get yourself a copy and read it because it's fantastic. And then next up, I went through a bit of a novella spree here in this month, which explains the high book count, partly. And I read Daniel Green's, everyone's favorite booktubers, Breach of Peace, which I was pleasantly surprised with. It's an engaging story. Are there flaws? Absolutely. Is it like top tier writing? Not necessarily, but for someone who's a booktuber first and an author second, and this is his first book he's written, and it's self-published, and like I said, his day job is to make booktube videos. I found it as a captivating story that retained my interest and attention. So I was pleasantly surprised with it. So yeah, and that was 98 pages. So inflated the 13 books read this month for sure. But then after that, I read Jim Butcher's Turncoat. And I forgot to mention, White Knight was more of the same for me as far as the Dresden Files go. It's Small Favor 10 and Turncoat number 11, where Butcher really started to amp up the heat as far as the events going on in the world and the implications, the larger implications that they had on the overall plot. So that's really when I started to get the Dresden bug, where I was like, things are happening, and it has gotten my attention to the point where I would set down a Dresden File book and pretty much immediately start another one. So Turncoat was good. After that, I read Rebel's Creed, which is Daniel Green's second installment in those novellas. And more of the same, similar thoughts to Breach of Peace, so I won't spend too much time on it. So yeah, just intriguing story. Interesting, kept my attention, and made me want to read more. So that's all I have to say about that. And then next up was, which I actually have the book in front of me, Martha Wells, Artificial Conditioner. Wow, Artificial Conditioner. No, I'm not washing my hair. Artificial Condition, that is. And like I said, just a fun, short sci-fi read. Not too much to say there. Then was finally the big Dresden Files book, and that's number 12, Changes, which is aptly named because boy does it change a lot as far as the series goes as a whole. To me, did it live up to the hype? Because this is by far the most hyped up Dresden Files book. It may have fallen a little bit short, but like I said, that's strictly because the expectations people set for this book are like in the clouds, like sky high. Is it a fantastic and the best Dresden Files book that I've read? Yes. Does it fundamentally change the direction the series goes in? Yes. So it checks both those boxes. Absolutely a fantastic book. This isn't a tier video or my ranking the reads that the books that I read this month, but Changes was probably, Changes was my second favorite book behind The God Is Not Willing this month. So a great book. I don't want to take anything away from it. And if you're gonna notice here shortly, but I read Changes, and then after that, all I read was Dresden. So that kind of is its own endorsement for Changes and the Dresden Files itself, because I was totally and utterly hooked at this point. It might have derailed my Book of the Fallen reread just a little bit, because like I said, I'm trying to keep a reread video a week out for those Book of the Fallen Malazan videos. So after Changes, I then read Ghost Story, which is the 14th installment in Dresden, followed by Cold Days, number 15, and Skin Game, number 16. 12, 13. Oh, I'm sorry. I got those out of order because Changes is number 12. So then Ghost Story, 13, Cold Days, 14, Skin Game, 15. What I'm currently reading right now, and this isn't a February TBR or anything like that, but I am currently going through and reading, what's the name of it? I'm reading the next installment in Dresden. The name escapes me right now. So, but yeah, that was my month. Like I said, I'm absolutely thrilled with how the channel is going. Thank you all for all your support. I genuinely have loved and enjoyed all the engagement and excitement around the Malazan content. So thank you all. If you have not already liked and subscribed, please do so, and I will catch you in the next one.